This is how my story goes. Pain and joy, I've had it all, had it all. Can I tell you my story? Oh, this is my story. Yes, I tell you my story.
Welcome to the EN Show Season 3. And I'm so excited because today we're starting off the season with my sisters. And I'd like to introduce you to my mother's daughters, Lillian Mbayiwa and Jacqueline Rugayo. A warm welcome, my dear sisters, to the EN Show.
Thank you, dear
Thank you
sister.
so much.
Yeah, as much as I'm the youngest, didn't utonga nas. Mawuya kwangu saka.
We're not surprised. We're not surprised.
You're not surprised. But thank you so much for joining me on the show. And I thought it was only proper for us to come as sisters and really talk about, gratitude. That's the word that comes to my mind. Right. We're looking at 2024 and all of these things that we're planning. But before we even get into 2024, we need to reflect on 2023. And I thought it was only proper for me to do that with you. So you know that it's been a mixed bag for us in terms of the lows and the highs and whatever. But I know that it's not just us as sisters and who've gone through quite a turbulent time. And I just wanted to hear from you. What have you seen in terms of just loss? Because I know that, the world over, there's been a lot that has been happening. 2023 wasn't a kind year for so many people, globally. But what does that speak to you in terms of not only loss, but how you're also planning your 2024?
2023 was a difficult year in so many ways. But when I look at it and I look at where we are now, I am just grateful. Just grateful to be here, grateful for the fact that, God was able to, to take us through, what we went through and allow us to still be here and to still rise and to still laugh and to still plan and to still love. And I think most importantly, to be surrounded by family, as we go into the, into the new year. But the beginning of 2023 with the loss of mom, and then the loss of Kudzi, and loss of our aunts. I mean, we actually had, quite a bit of loss all happening at the same time. But I am just grateful. I mean, like as you said, I sum it up as, a feeling of just gratefulness, for what we were able to experience. Sometimes I believe that that kind of a shake-up, it actually really allows you to stretch yourself and actually bounce back, I think, much higher than what you were before. And I really feel that, all in all, with everything considered, that's where it has left us.
It's funny you're talking about stretching yourself because, there's stretching and then there is stretching. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we really understand the capabilities that we have or that the talents that God has given us until you're really in the depths of fire. And that's when you really need to dig deep into that strength that you have. Mm-hmm. But when she talks about strength, Auntie Jackie, what does that speak to you in terms of your own personal journey looking at 2023? Right now, we're in 2024. We are now looking forward to, planning. But, you can't plan without having some sort of resolution to the last year. So what does that look like for you in retrospect?
Do you know what? I'm standing here and I'm like, how the heck did we make it?
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. Like, it's incredible that we are here. I think if you look back at the things that we have gone through, my immediate thought was we were never supposed to still be here and talk about it and still be smiling, and even how can we be thankful? Like, what we've gone through and probably what the rest of the world has gone through, many other families, to be talking about gratitude is almost like an oxymoron. It doesn't make any sense. But that's what I feel. I feel so grateful because honestly, we would never have made it if it had not been a feeling like being carried on the wings of an eagle. You know, we went through a storm, and that storm, if you know about eagles, they don't avoid storms. In fact, the pressure of the storm makes it stronger to be able to overcome and go over the storm. So that's how I feel like we've gone through so much, but we have become stronger and better, I think, in everything. And we've been able to overcome, and it's totally incredible. And it's not by our own means. It's just God who was able to, we were able to hold on really tightly to Jesus, really. And I remember many times when Mom was sick, we would be sitting and praying. We learned how to pray even more than we were praying before. And we saw just how God carried us through those storms, like on the wings of an eagle. So I feel really very much blessed to be here, and I'm really thankful.
Yeah. And so I think this was only befitting for us to sit as sisters, because in my life, when I look back on all of the most important moments in my life, these are the individuals that have gotten me through it. And I sometimes wonder, for those who don't have a support system, how do they actually circumvent these big, humongous challenges that God throws our way? Because for me, my default setting is coming and talking to you, or picking up the phone and saying, sis, I'm not having a good day today. But, it has gotten me to start think about Sister Talk and the show that we started. And Sister Talk, for those who are watching, was the birth of EN show. So EN didn't just come from anywhere. It came from Sister Talk, when we were all sitting around and saying, let's talk about the topics that people don't want to talk about. And grief is one of those, and loss is one of those. So we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, I want us to really now get into how has that changed our lives, and how has that changed the lives of our children, and the roles that we take as moms now, because we don't have a mom. We don't have a mom, and now we are the moms. So this is EN Show. I'm with my sisters Lillian Mbayiwa and Jacqueline Rugayo, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the EN Show. And so, sisters, we were talking about gratitude for 2024. For those who are only now joining and watching, we lost Mom in January 15. And, Mom had gone through a number of different ailments, but I never thought that we would lose her. I mean, we had just done Christmas, and she had, in her mom way, said, I want everyone at home for Christmas, and I want to feed everyone. And 2 weeks later, we were laying her down to rest. And a lot of people couldn't really understand and comprehend that process. And then fast forward from January to April, then Kudzai, my husband, who was talking and actually, representing at Mom's funeral and her memorial, then also passed on the 23rd of April. I can only say that it's been a very painful period for us as family, because the time when we also, had Kudzai passing on, that same week we lost Etete, my father's sister, and then we also lost Tete's husband, Bamkuru. And it was one after another after there. And I think for me personally, I used to always hear about these things happening at other people's homes, but I never thought it would happen to me. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is to say, when we lost Mom, until you were not even in the country, and Auntie Jackie and I, by the grace of God, you were here. I remember feeling very like, oh my goodness, Lillian is not here. How is she dealing with it in the States? What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was difficult. It was very hard, because when I left, she was okay. But I know that she was anxious about me leaving. So she kept on saying, you're going for 2 months. what am I going to do? Then I was like, Mom, sometimes we spend 2 months without coming to Mutare, and I'm in Harare, so don't worry, we'll still be talking. So when she fell ill, also it was so sudden. 1 minute she's not feeling well, the next minute we're arranging ambulance for her to come to Harare, and the next minute, the situation is deteriorated, and then she was gone. So it just like, it was very sudden and very intense over a short period of time. And it was very sad for the family there in the States. As you know, I was there with my daughter and my son and the families and stuff. So it was hard. And for me not to be here, because remember I was arranging everything, because it was, I suppose being the older one, I don't know why you guys were not there. I was calling the doctor. I was telling him, later on that, when I was talking to you, I was actually in the States arranging for the ambulance to pick her up and to bring her here, and then arranging you guys to be here waiting for her.
Do you know, it's funny. It's funny you're raising that question.
Yeah.
I, in retrospect, have realized that everyone was meant to do something specific. Mm-hmm. What your role was not necessarily my role. Mm-hmm. And what my role was not necessarily Auntie Jackie's role. But I felt like we needed you to be doing that at the time. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Auntie Jackie, how you feel about that. Absolutely. Because I felt like it was almost, when we have different talents.
Exactly.
And those talents were needed at that time to kick in. And it was almost like we were a well-oiled machine ultimately.
I remember Jackie saying to me, no, please, can you do that? Because I said, okay, call doctor. And then she said, do you mind just doing that?
Yeah.
Because I think logistics, I think you trusted me to do it.
Yes.
Rather than,
Yeah, because also we had different when someone is sick like that, none of us ever expected what happened, that we would lose Mom, because many times we would go into this whole thing again of getting her from Mutare to Harare and things like that, and dealing with the doctors. So we had developed different relationships with the doctor. So I knew that Auntie Lily had a really good relationship with the doctors, so she would get things done quicker. And I think that's actually what happened. She was able to step in and get stuff done. So I think over the period of time, I think we have grown to recognize those different roles that we do play that are very important.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And once, I think there's a recognition of those roles, but then there's also a silent respect that I feel that has really nurtured our sisterhood, in that I don't expect certain things from one sister because I know that I can get quality in that area from another sister. And what happens in so many different families is that you expect so much on one person. And when the expectations are here and they fail to deliver, then that's where some of the breaking down happens. I felt at some stage that, oh my gosh, we need to pray about this, because I could feel that we were on the verge of breaking down at some moments, because there was so much pressure. There were things that were happening. We were questioning each other. Why did you do this? I remember Auntie Lil going off
when I arrived at the airport.
Who said mom's body should go to Mutare
by herself?
And Auntie Jackie, I must say, you took a deep breath and you actually did not fight back. You didn't. You recognized that she was in pain and that it was not the time for that confrontation. And I don't recall throughout the whole funeral 1 minute where we fought as sisters.
No, we didn't fight.
It's by the grace of God.
That was just grace. That was just grace of God.
It was grace.
Because we are all feeling different things. But I think, Auntie Lily, you mentioned that when you were going, Mom spent some time with you.
Yeah.
And then when you left, I was away. You spent time with Mom over Christmas time. So you had these blocks of time on your own.
Yes.
Each one of us shared time with us.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I had my block of time just the week before she died. So we didn't feel like we missed out. It was, mom spent the last days with somebody else. We all felt like we got what we needed before she left. And we knew she'd been wanting. She kept on saying, when are you going to
Like,
take
I'm
me?
ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
But we're going to take a break, guys. We're going to take a break. Our mom was just a phenomenal woman. But, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, I want to ask you a couple of, questions that I've never asked you before.
Oh,
Safe
boy.
space, right?
Oh boy.
This is the Ian Show. We are talking about gratitude. We are talking about all things 2024. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ian, and today I am on set with my sisters, Lillian and Jackie. So I think one thing that we were talking about was just the fact that, it was very hard for us to keep it together as sisters, and when mom passed on. But then, fast forward, April comes along, and I lost my husband. I've never asked you guys this before, but how was it for you to see me going through that loss, and how did you deal with that? Because I was so engrossed in it. I was just trying to survive. But how was it to be sisters, mourning mom, and then coming to this point where I've now lost my husband?
I think I can say that's when I missed mom the most, because we didn't have this is a totally new thing. Normally we would go to mom and say, Mom, what do we do? This is what has happened to Emily. There was no fallback. We had nothing except just maybe each other, or maybe myself and Auntie Lil, and maybe other family members. But our mom was so strong and so present that even she would have been the first person that we would want to go and just throw ourselves to and say, Mom, doja itika. This is what has happened to Emily. It's no many others that say, Mom. And I thought about it so much, because I remember Mom being a widow when Dad passed away. And she used to tell us how difficult it was for her, what she went through to become a widow, and the widow journey, where all of a sudden you're not two people, you're just one, and you're dealing with everything. So me, I was like, Mom, I think you should have been here to be able to help us to go through this process.
I was angry at her.
Yes.
Imagine being angry at someone who's passed on.
Yeah.
I was so angry. I was so angry to be like, so Mom, you decided to die before I buried my husband? So Mom don't
Yeah, I think it would have been too heartbreaking for her
Right.
if Kudzi had passed away when she was still alive. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like for me, I just felt like I needed to just fill in that gap right there and then. I don't know if you remember, I just thought, I just want to be there by her side every step of the way, wherever she's going and whatever is happening. I just felt like being the older sister, I just needed to somehow make up that gap. I think I got to a point where I think at some point you said, no, look, we are okay now. We can be home alone as a family. I think we're fine. Because I just felt like we just need to fill the gap here, Mom, and then the gap here, Kudzi. I think even church. I mean, at the beginning, I was like, okay, so I just will go to church with Emily and family, just so that, I'm kind of like filling in that gap. So I think to answer your question, it's like you're feeling your own pain, because I loved Kudzi very much as my brother-in-law, and Kudzi and I used to share so many things. We'd discuss about so many things. We have so many brides, so many conversations. So for me, I was heartbroken for him, but also heartbroken for you and for the girls. So it's like almost like a double feeling of pain that you feel. You're still trying to deal with your own, but you're also trying to take on the pain that you are feeling as the wife, and then his little girls were also feeling. So it was such a, it was a very difficult time. I would say it was worse for me with Kudzi than Mom. And I know it's such a weird thing to say, but with Mom, I had a sense of peace because the way she went, it was very short and it was very quick. And we always used to joke that she was ready. She had her bags packed a long time ago. So, and there was just so much peace around her life, and even during the last days of her life. So there was almost a peace as well that kind of like existed throughout her funeral and, throughout us laying her down. I think what we really did is we just missed her.
Yeah.
But, we were kind of like very grateful for the time we spent with her. But Kudzi, it was just different. We expected to be with him for much longer than that.
Yeah. It's funny that, you're talking about, wanting to be by my side. I could totally feel that. I could feel that, and it's like you're watching a movie, literally.
Yeah.
Because you're in shock, and for anyone who has lost anyone who is close to them, and this is why we're doing this show. It's not because we want to put our laundry out there, but I think it's important for people to talk about the realities of grief and understand that there is a tomorrow, and that there is hope and light at the end of the tunnel. One thing that was consistent throughout the funeral for me was that, you know what, God, you cannot give me this amount of pain for nothing. There has to be purpose. Why me? I never asked myself, why me? Why did it happen to me? Why didn't it happen? No, because you would never want to give that load to anyone else.
Yeah.
But you have to start saying, but Mari, inini manduona chi kuti murukundipa so much to carry. There has to be a purpose for it.
Yeah.
And maybe these conversations that will come from this episode will start healing other people.
Right.
And we're going to wrap up segment 1 of our gratitude, how we're launching season 3 of the Ian Show. Next week, we will be talking about the gratitude. What has come out of it that has been positive? Because through pain, when you literally walk through the valley of the shadow of death, there is that light out there that kind of says, you know what, this is not the end for you. So we're going to wrap up this episode, Lay Sisters, but I'm looking forward to our second one that will be coming through very shortly. And so if you're watching EN Show, I'm with my sisters Lillian Mbayiwa and Jacqueline Rugayo, and we're talking about gratitude. But through the gratitude, you need to remain strong, and we hope that whoever's watching will also be inspired. You are not alone. Sending love and light your way.